All right, let me ask you guys this. Between your chick and your best friend, they both have different stories. Which one are you more likely to trust? Davey Mack?
The friend.
Over your chick?
Yes, I would. I feel like that it's a friend. They're not going to tell. I mean, they'll tell you what really happened a lot more than the chick would. No way. She's too afraid.
Your own chick?
Yeah, I think that I would trust my friend.
What about you, Hicks?
My chick. I trust her. She'll be honest with me.
Mooch?
Chick, definitely.
Bullshit and bullshit.
Either that or you're the saddest human being I've ever heard from.
It's the second one. It's the saddest.
You trust her 8%, and now you're trusting Catman over her.
Well,
that little fucker.
Listen,
Trust Patty?
Catman is going to tell me, look, Dave, I apologize. I banged your wife. He would say that.
He only has to trust Catman 16% to double his wife's numbers.
I do. And my chick wouldn't say, hey, Dave, I banged Catman. She just wouldn't say that.
With a straight face.
And these guys' chicks wouldn't say that either.
Have you set up a scenario, though, where she can't be honest with you? You're saying yes, Hicks. He has.
Yeah, definitely. His psychotic fucking paranoia probably has her living in fear of telling him anything.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You're psychotic and paranoid. That's what I'm talking about.
Paranoid.
There you
I'm
go.
not psychotic.
He's paranoid, but with reason.
Right. I've got a lot of fear instilled in my heart.
Well, you're also, she can't even bring up the past to you, you said.
No, I prefer that to leave that, just fucking, erase that
And
head.
Hicks, you said the past actually turns you on a little bit. You make her tell those little stories.
You're sick, man.
While they're doing it. And then what did he do? And then what did he do? Yeah, you got yourself,
Yeah, I'd prefer if we were like Jim Carrey and that English broad in the Spotless Mind movie. I'd like to just go on, and we've met each other in 2007 or whatnot, and now our lives begin.
Everything else is erased.
That's the way I
You know
would
what's
prefer.
really funny? I just rewatched that film the other night, and I believe Fez is the only person that said you would have that done if you could erase memories from your mind.
Yeah.
You would have it done.
I'd erase former partners' memories. I wouldn't want to erase my entire life.
So you would want to erase her memory. Well, here's
her memory.
Here's one of the problems. If and that showed up at the end of that movie. When you erase the bad stuff, you repeat the bad stuff.
Wow.
And they were actually going to do I think they had filmed, or it was written in the script, that it was a very old Jim Carrey who was back to erase her out of his mind. And you find out that this had been like the 15th time that they both had done this stupid gimmick. They just kept doing it over and over because you would never learn. You would never learn from your mistakes. Would you ever want to erase anything?
I'd erase a few years were pretty shit. I'd get rid of them. But then now you're saying that, I probably learned a lot in those years because it made me think, let's move on from that.
What were you doing that was so awful in those couple years?
Just fucking doing nothing. Just sitting in Belfast, getting drunk all the time.
Yeah.
Just doing nothing. And it's
But the interesting thing is, like you said, that if you didn't decide, hey, I've eaten that much candy, I never want to eat candy like that again, then that urge would still be there.
It made me get out of the city and get over here, to leave what I fucking wanted to get away from, which is brilliant.
Hicks, would you erase anything?
No, I want it all. I need all of it. I want to remember all the fucking fucked up things and all the good things.
Yeah. Fezzi, what is it you want to replace? What is it that you want to get rid of? Don't tell me that producer we had.
All right, I won't tell you that.
Seriously?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think I would. I would get rid of that.
Why?
Because I think it led to other problems. And I think if I didn't have those memories, then maybe I wouldn't have the memory that led to depression, that led to anxiety.
Yeah.
It just feels all so interconnected to me.
Right. So.
But that's now a lot to block out.
Right. You would actually be blocking out 5 years.
Yeah. It would be gigantic chunks to block out.
And you take the last 5 years is when you've been really kind of bad, right?
Oh, yeah.
You really think it has to do with that feeling that you had for that person and then didn't share?
I think that's a lot of it. I think also, maybe maybe the move actually amplified that, but I still think that was the core of the whole thing. I absolutely swear to that.
And that led to your heart attacks and everything else.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, if I got rid of that, maybe the anxiety and the depression wouldn't be there. If the anxiety wasn't there, maybe the heart problem wouldn't have, boiled over.
So he really, I didn't think, because I think you were going to go for the bridges or whatever, but you would actually take one person out of your life.
Yeah, I would do it just like Spotless Mind. Take that whole person out. I don't know what that leaves me with, though. So.
What about the lesson part of it?
See, that's the thing. I don't know. I try. I think about learning from it, but I don't know if I have picked it up. If I'm still dealing with anxiety and stuff.
Let me explain to people. Fez, at a certain point of his life, and you weren't even aware of it, you started to like somebody.
Right, yeah.
And this is a lifetime of never liking anyone.
Yeah. Yep.
So Fez starts to like someone, like the way you like your girlfriend, Dave, but very, very differently. But you weren't even aware of it at first.
No, it just felt like, palling around.
My best buddy. And when we would tease you, sometimes we'd say, Fez, he likes somebody. You were like, no, I don't. Stop it.
Right, yeah.
And then something took place at a church, so the whole station disappeared. Fez and I got transferred down to D.C. for a couple of years, which I found to be fun, but Fez went into a very, very dark, horrible place. And then when we got back to New York, you still weren't happy.
Right, and
he used to say to me, Ronnie, if you get me back to New York, everything will be okay. And I'm like, I'm working on it,
And that's what, one thing that frustrated and pissed me off about myself, because that felt like what the problem was. And I guess I just wasn't dealing with what the problem was.
Well, here's the thing.
Or it turned into that problem.
By wanting to take that out, you say, A, you still don't know what you've learned from it, right?
Right, yeah.
And B, is there a part of you that feels like this person did this to you?
You know what? That was also never there until recently.
How recent?
I would say probably in the past few months.
So what clicked that in?
Just talking about it more and getting perspective from other people that I didn't, have before.
The shrink.
The shrink being one of them.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to stay outside. They're going to put you in a loony bin.
Been there.
What's the shrink thing? Dick tease?
Uh-huh.
I would have always said dick tease because, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way.
Okay.
But there's no reason to be friends with you. So anyone who's doing that is out to get something from you.
I think there was reason to be friends with me. I was fun at that point.
Well, you kept somebody in a job that didn't deserve it. So that was a good thing. And then that Fez had such feelings. You know how I am with the producers. You haven't fucking done anything, right? So I'd be like, nothing gets fucking done. I'd look over and Fez would be like, oh, let me help. Let me straighten up after them. And I wasn't, I'm not fucking paying attention on this.
You didn't notice?
Yeah, of course. We used to tease him about it.
Right.
But when all this shit fucking, went down and me and Fez left, I had my own bumness about, leaving such a fucking great gig for, a good gig. But we were, having the time of our lives before we left, and we both really loved the city. So I was like not knowing how much of it had to do with that.
And at that point, I was not chalking basically any of it up to that.
Yeah, and whatever.
I mean, that was complete denial.
Yeah, and there was some denial and some lying. and I don't mean just lying to me when I would ask you, but you lied to yourself. But that's when you started I'm going to pray to Jesus to take these feelings away. And then one day he just comes in and is like, I don't believe in God. I'm not a Republican anymore. Because we were, I'm against whatever he was, it all just changed. And I'm like, well, there is a real adjustment to the show, And then, of course, at the same time, he was having really bad lockups on the air. And then he started to go to a doctor who just gave him a lot of pills. I mean, he just spiraled fucking quick.
Yeah, that's when I started listening with that
That's when the crying started, on and off the air.
Yeah, you started crying because of Mikey D.
I mean, that was the first one.
Yeah.
But it almost seems like that really opened some floodgates. That once those tears started flowing, I couldn't get the tear ducts closed again.
Yeah.
Is it better to have that stuff out than to be bottling it up for the years that you had it? You were bottling stuff up, probably.
I don't know. It feels like a Pandora's box to me.
Just say you feel better after you cry.
I think bottled is better. Just bottle everything.
I think, yeah. I think bottled was better.
I'm really starting to become, like, when it really becomes to, and I never used to believe this, but in, like, friendships and relationships, the less you say is maybe the best you could possibly do.
I'm starting to pick that up.
Yeah. And I was always against that.
Yeah, you can't be honest. You can't be as honest as I want to be. You gotta just fucking say nothing sometimes and just, that's bad, buddy, and move on.
Yeah. Like, even saying what I said might be the worst thing that you could possibly do. Yeah. But do you, Dave, do you tell your chick everything you're thinking?
No. I mean, because when I have, that's when the biggest fights start.
What would one of them be? Like what would something that you would say that
watch your tone. Watch your tone. You can ask me, hey, can you take the dog out for a walk? That's all I need. But I certainly don't need, take the dog out for a walk.
Bitch.
Ain't gonna fly. Put everything in question form.
So you're just on the bubble.
I don't need a please. I want a question form. Can you wash the dishes?
You're Jeopardy.
Don't wash the dishes, me. So, I'm fucking furious right now.
Why? How'd you get so pissed?
I am so... Because this is 99% of the argument, and we have a very nice, loving relationship.
You know what's a weird thing? I have a fucking problem with tonality, too. But not just with chicks, like with anywhere in my fucking life. That's the first thing to get my neck up.
People don't realize how they sound. You can say the exact same sentence to me if you just say it pleasantly. I'm pleasant to you. I'm always very pleasant to people. That's the way I feel.
I don't think you are. I mean, you're drunk most of the time.
Well, that's why I'm very pleasant then.
And then, you also twittered that you've been playing Rock Band Beatles for 175 straight hours.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Of course, finally the tone's going to be, take that goddamn trash out. It's piled up around you. You're sitting there beating on this fucking toy drum.
Oh, man. Greatest game ever.
So your problem is, Fez, not so much that it happened, is that you haven't learned one thing from it.
Yeah, I don't feel like, what I've taken away from this yet. Yeah. I don't feel like I've learned that, and maybe it's gone on so long because I really didn't even start looking at that until, in the past 9 months.
Now, even though that person was with someone at the time, why would you think they did that to you on purpose? You know what I mean?
I don't know. It's just kind of like it was. I mean, it was such an intense friendship, I guess. And now I'm thinking, was it just one-sided? And I don't think it was.
But you know who you sound like?
Who's that?
A fucking lonely guy. The fucking crazy lonely guy who somebody is friends with them, and it isn't enough. They keep wanting more and more and more.
I totally did that. Totally did.
And this fucking guy this girl that got killed at Yale, it was the lonely guy friend.
Mm-hmm.
The lonely guy friend did it. John, you're on Fez.
Hey, guys. Hey, Fez, can you say that you've gotten better or worse since you started seeing your shrink?
There's areas where I think I've really progressed, and there's things I was able to do that I wasn't able to do before. But
Right.
I don't think there's been like enough of a progression, and in every single area.
I will give
Where
you
do you
this.
think-
Go ahead, John.
Where do you think you've progressed, and where do you think you've gotten worse?
All right, I'll let Fez answer that.
I think in some personal things, I think I've progressed, and in some professional things, I think there hasn't been nearly enough progression.
I'll say this. You're still unhappy, but you're unhappy differently than you used to be unhappy before.
Oh, so now see that I don't even recognize the difference.
Yeah, I think some things, like you bitch about things, but you bitch about different things than you used to before. But you're still fairly pessimistic.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know whether you think you can change a person's nature when it comes to that, like pessimism or cynicism.
Not unless some life-changing event occurs.
Yeah.
You can, you can. Like say you're a drug addict and you are in a program and you're constantly trying
Right.
to stop being a drug addict. Every single day you get up and you do your fucking memory, your prayers or whatever.
Right.
That's the only way you could ever change your... And then, I suppose, do you really change it? Probably not. But you can change your actions, but you can't change your fucking personality.
It's a really good point because people who want to like get off drugs and alcohol don't realize that you do have to work on it all the time. It's the same thing like if you tried to lose weight. I think what happens to people who diet in this country is they think that somehow at the end of the diet they'll be able to eat the way they want to and not gain the weight back. But the point is, if you change your eating plans, you have to fucking change them for the rest of your life. If you want, and it doesn't matter what the diet is, if it's Weight Watchers, you pretty much have to stay on that the rest of your life, at least maintenance, which means like if you do go and eat too much one night, you've got to then exercise or fucking pay it back. Yeah. The same way is like your mental thing. If you're going to have a depressed time, then you've got to put the fucking effort back into becoming happier again.
Right, yeah. And a lot of times, I know in my case, it's like, I can't, I feel like I'm not able to muster the effort.
Yeah. But here's what I don't understand about your failed thing. And this person still doesn't know.
No.
And you've never told this person.
No.
And yet, you have some anger about their actions.
Right. I mean, and that's like a new emotion added to it.
Right.
So dealing.
But you never once gave that person a chance to say what was on their mind.
No, I didn't.
What they thought of the friendship.
Nope. No, I never did.
And you also kept very major secrets from that friend.
Oh, yeah.
And yet you don't feel responsibility to yourself. That's what I don't understand about you and the shrink. Why, since you can't change the other person, right?
Uh-huh.
Why can't the shrink help you work on any of that?
Oh, I mean, she is.
No. These things aren't even done on you yet. I don't understand how many things that we bring up on here and the shrink hasn't yet.
No, I mean...
I also... all right, I talked to the person that you're talking about, their ex.
Uh-huh.
And said, did that person ever cock tease Fez on purpose? And I got a ha 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 ha. I'm sorry. That's really funny. No, I didn't mean it to be funny.
Right.
I never saw it like that, and I'm sure blank did not either.
Well, it's a possibility I have to wonder about.
But instead of wondering about, why not ask? That's my point. How come no one ever fucking just asked out loud? Let's say this. If I wanted to know how much change Dave had in his pocket, I could fucking wonder about it for fucking ever. But until I fucking find out from him, I'm never going to know the fucking number. No matter how much calculating I do. And I could do it now and forever. I'd never have the fucking answer as much as him reaching in his fucking pocket and showing me. That's what I don't get about shrinks. A lot of inside work is really better outside work. Oh, I think my dad hates me. What the fuck is wrong with asking your dad? Did you hate me? Fucking tell me right now. Did you used to fucking hate me when I was a kid? What is wrong with that statement? And why does everyone think that it can't be fucking done?
Well, I think there's a lot of, sometimes a lot of courage that isn't there to ask those questions.
So why do you feel the courage to ask it to yourself? Why do you feel the courage to ask it to your shrink? What would be what would be fearful to say to someone, hey, I need to work something out. We used to be friends. Then suddenly we weren't friends. Would the fear be, in my mind, we were just work friends? Or you were my boss? Is that what you're afraid to hear?
No, I think I wouldn't want to alienate that person. I don't know. It seems like I wouldn't want to put them in that embarrassing situation.
Because your thoughts are embarrassing. Your clarity is embarrassing.
No, but it also seems like it's my problem, not theirs. I mean, they're not having a problem with it. I am.
Right. But you're not settling this problem 5 years later. And all you're asking for is, hey, I'd like to get a little clarity.
Right. But, where I would be comfortable with it, the other person might not be comfortable with it.
How do you know?
I don't know. I'm assuming.
Why would you assume? If I got a call from anyone in my fucking past that said, hey, I've been going through some shit, and I'm trying to fucking figure out what I've been doing wrong. When we used to go together, what happened? I would do my best to try to fucking answer that. Now, if they fucking came to me and said, oh, you destroyed my life, it's all your fault, I'd probably be a lot more fucking defensive. Mm-hmm. But if they said, I'm here trying to figure out my fucking patterns and why I keep going wrong, I can't imagine that I wouldn't want to fucking talk to them about it.
Yeah, I mean, it did always feel like something I should work out on my own.
You ain't doing it.
No, I'm
You've
not.
had 5 fucking years.
But it's not that you're not. You couldn't work out on your own.
I don't think you got all the information. And it's the same thing as me going, I'm so curious about how much fucking change Dave has in his pocket. If I can't fucking say, wait, it's none of my business or it's not worth it to be like that, I got to fucking find out. You're trying to find out what somebody else had in their mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you're afraid of is to find out the fucking truth. That it was maybe what you're afraid of is to hear that it was all you projecting this stuff.
Right, yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess that's there. That's definitely there.
But unless you find that out, how are you going to be able to move on? The only reason to deal with the past is it helps you fucking move on. But at a certain point, you just obsess on the past. And that's the stuff that, my mom and dad didn't blah, blah. I don't think I've ever met a fucking person who ever thought that their parents did everything right. And why should we? Why should those fucking people... The thing that, when you get into adulthood, is when you realize that your dad was just a fucking regular guy like anybody else you meet on the fucking street. He wasn't some fucking Superman. He was just a regular guy who did what he could. Your mom, same way. Maybe your mom wanted to be doing something different with her life. Maybe you weren't fucking planned. Maybe they just weren't that good at it. But for some reason, we fucking hold on to it so tight. I watched you work on that for fucking how many years? 15?
Yeah, probably.
Constantly going over that? Until finally I started saying, who gives a fuck? There's so many of these things that I'm becoming more and more confused that maybe it isn't society ourselves that fucking just wants us to drag this shit around, It's the same way. Let's suppose you did get raped. Now you're never supposed to have another good day? You got to fucking think about it for everything? What is wrong with putting some of this shit behind you? Your fucking chick fucking whatever happened. It happened. You had a death in your life. You were in a car accident. Why are you supposed to drag these fucking things around every fucking day? How many days you get on the planet? You don't even know. You could be fucking struck by lightning tomorrow. So who gives a fuck what happened 5 years ago?
Yeah, and I think a lot of times with the mother issues, like you said, I dealt with for so long. I think again that was what's the word? Like masking, something else that was going on that I wasn't even ready to think about yet.
Maybe. Matt, you're on Ron and Fez.
Yeah, you were talking to Fez a while ago about why can't you just come out and ask your dad, did you hate me when I was a kid? Going through therapy now, dealing with kind of the same issues, it's not near as easy as it sounds, I mean, it's kind of a fear of what your dad's going to say. I mean, I think people don't want to hear
the truth.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear the truth.
Yeah, I mean, so that's why you carry it around, I mean.
But here's the thing: if you don't want to know the fucking truth, right? Yeah. You will never fucking find out the truth. Now, what other reason are you in therapy besides the fucking truth?
Right, there should be no other reason.
I remember this is one thing that fucking blew my mind one time. We always used to take these fucking trips up to Canada, and we would fucking tent and go fucking fishing, and we would have a ball every year. And we would always stop at the same fucking roadside rest and have fucking sandwiches, right? And, pull out these fucking coolers, and the sandwiches would always be wet by the time we got there. And we did it like years in a row. And one year, this is by all the time I'm a fucking man, I said, yeah, we always used to do this because my dad never wanted to, go to any restaurants and shit. And my dad is sitting with me, and he goes like this, yeah, like I had money for a restaurant. I go, what? He goes, what do you think we slept in a fucking tent? This was, our vacation. We weren't fucking loaded. We weren't poor, but, we weren't going to be going away to a fucking hotel. It was going to make our budget, I'm not saying like we were hand to mouth, but he did it for budgetary reasons, not because I don't want to, I don't like restaurants. In a million years, I would have fucking died never figuring out to myself, oh yeah, we were on a fucking summer budget. So that later when I'm fucking planning things and I'm on a budget, then I think to myself, yeah, because that's how life is. That was like a fucking breakthrough moment, because when you were a kid, you don't even think about fucking money. So I'm like, yeah, my dad won't get me this because he's, no, not all the fucking time. He had 4 fucking kids. You're going to be eating sandwiches and not in a fucking restaurant. 866-RON-0-FEZ, 866-RON-0-FEZ. Hey, Two Guns, you're on Ron Fez.
Hey, Ronnie, how's it going, buddy?
Good.
I was just talking, I'm just on the same wavelength with you on this, confronting things with your parents or whoever come from an abusive relationship with, or my stepdad pretty much, was physically and mentally abused. One day he was pretty much just giving my mom down the road, probably about 21 years old, and went out there and said exactly what you said. I said, what's your problem? I mean, what's been going on? Why have you hated me your whole life? And he pretty much gave me an honest answer and said that it wasn't he hated me. It was just that he was jealous of my mother's love for me, which is kind of screwed up in its own way. But, it seemed to have worked out in the best now. Now the guy's, I forgave him, and he's a great grandfather to my kids. So
that is a weird thing. And a lot of times, a lot of guys will be a hell of a lot better grandfather than they ever were dad. And then you're looking over going, yeah, really? You got time to play with him, motherfucker? Yeah. I noticed that. It seems like you had a lot of fucking time. Seems like you and him are pretty close, you prick. You're never fucking satisfied, is my point. You're certainly never satisfied with other fucking people. Here's Arch. Arch on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
Do you think it's healthy to just revise history to suit your own reality at any whim? Like, you discussed this before, Fez, like you were saying you felt better if you pretended something didn't happen instead of maybe learning from it and going on, not dragging around with you every day and think about it constantly, but any thoughts on that?
All right, I'm not really sure what you're saying,
He
but
said you want to revise history, right?
uh-huh.
Now think about it when countries do this. Like if you're going to be totally honest, they start teaching us history as a kid, the history of our country, but for little kids. Like, oh, we're for truth, justice, and the American way. We do, you're not going to find in our fucking history books. And the United States decided to do that for their own economic fucking purposes. You know what I mean? So they don't tell us right from the word go. They act like we're on some blessed fucking tour of the world, rather than we, like any individual, looks out for their own fucking well-being. The point is that when you revise history, Fezzi, it never gives you a fucking chance. And what's really kind of interesting, we were having all this fun talk about chicks and how much do you trust them.
Uh-huh.
And now we're back into your therapy. And and I guess, we're all responsible for it, but it's where we end up going.
Right, yeah. So, I didn't mean to do that.
No, but we do it all the time.
Yeah. So it's actually, instead of revising it, it's repeating it more.
Which is what I think all of us do. That is the point. Until we learn from it, we are going to fucking repeat it.
It's Groundhog's Day.
Let's walk up those steps and confront that bastard. Did you ever once care about this old Hitler lookalike? And you don't want to hear not like that. That would be the worst.
I don't want to hear what?
Not like that.
Right.
That would be the worst thing you could ever hear.
Yeah. I think so.
Well, Ron, you knew what was going on, I'm guessing. You
But I
roughly
think
knew.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
No. It's back to Fez. This is all about Fez. It's therapy. Go ahead, Fez.
No, I think I know the truth on that. I don't, know it for sure, but I think I know what the answer would be.
Did I know? Yeah, we used to tease him.
Right. So it did his career good to do this, to play along with this, do you think? Or maybe he didn't even admit that to himself, but he was going along with everything for his career.
But there are certain types like that. Now, honestly, if you take a guy like Hicks, who's like a fucking super producer, he's the type that'd say, I'm going to get the work done that's going to be good for the show. And that's why Hicks is amazing. But there's other producers who go, Ron likes his coffee this way. I'm going to always have it for him. Oh, by the way, it's your, don't forget to give your mom a call. It's her. You know what I mean? So they'll start and cloud that into almost like they're your little personal assistant. They're not exactly into the work, but pleasing the person. That's the type of person this person was. And they have a new boss, and they look at their boss now like they used to look at Fez.
So that's his characteristics, right?
That's his characteristics, that I'm going to find out who's the person that I can please to keep my gig. There's a lot of people at work that have that kind of personality, They're almost like the 1950s secretary.
So, but if Fez were to probably go and say this guy, then he probably wouldn't get an honest answer, would he?
That's an interesting question. I think that he would probably get somewhat of I don't think he purposely did this that they purposely did this to Fez, but at the same time, that's what they do to find value. That's what that type of personality does. And if you think about it, everybody knows that person at work. And I'm not saying it's just the kiss up, kissing up is part of it, but I honestly think that they need to believe that whoever they're working for is terrific. Now, at the same time, they weren't doing it to me, they were doing it to Fez, because I am more of a ball buster. You know what I mean? I would rather come in, bust fucking Hicks' balls, but appreciate the work that he does, or bust Dave's balls and try to test him a little bit, where Fez left himself, where honestly he must have been looking for someone to tell him that he was terrific. I'd rather have a chick. You know what I mean? I'd rather have that outside of work, And I think that's the job of everybody's chick, is to kind of also go, no matter what else they're doing, is, you know, you really are the best person at work, Dave. You know, they don't appreciate you, and if you leave there one day, they'll be sorry. Everybody kind of wants that from their chick. Fez didn't have that, so he was allowing somebody that worked for us do that for him. So if you were being honest, you kind of clouded the lines a little bit.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I agree with that.
And if we were in the military, Fez would be in trouble for, you know, you really...
Fraternizing.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody works for you, how honest can they be with you? You know what I mean? How much of a friend can they be? You're a work friend. And when work ended, Fez's friendship ended. You know what I mean? And that crushed you.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Because you thought it was more.
I thought it was more. I thought it would last. I thought it was more in the sense of it was strong enough to deal with a separation. So.
But it was a work friendship.
Yeah, that's what it turned out to be.
And that's what most guys' relationships are. Like, I see Dave every day. We talk about stuff every day. If he goes and gets a new gig somewhere, he's not going to be calling me every day. Hey, are you watching this on TV? It's not going to happen.
Mr. B.
Yeah.
The Celtics are on.
And I never trust his Mr. B ass kissing. He's like that. Where Hicks, on the other hand, is a man. But this guy made fucking Dave's ass kissing look like fucking nothing. This person. He would all but take a brush to his back.
Yep, and it was and definitely just a work thing.
But you haven't moved on, huh?
Probably not.
All right, I'm going to go back and I'm going to cut part of his brain out. Maybe that'll do it.
Or we could rape them. Getting back to the rape issue.
Oh,
maybe we get drinks in ourselves and rape them.
All right.
Fucking Fez has revenge.
You want to
rape
do that?
fucking
rape?
asshole. Rape the asshole big time.
I don't know if a drunken gang rape is the answer.
It's the Ron and Fez Show on XM 202, Sirius 197.